Hey Star Wars fans, welcome back to the Spector Creative channel. And as we continue our figure-by-figure review breakdown series on the modern Power of the Force 2 line, well, starting with Power of the Force 2, next up is a wave of two figures. And these figures were hard to find, like almost ridiculously hard to find. For some reason, the blue striped figures, like the removable helmet Vader wave, tended to be oddly difficult. In fact, I don't even know if it ever shipped to retail, because the only time I ever found this wave was at Disneyland at the Star Trader, which was the Star Tours gift shop before Disney bought Star Wars and had the whole, Galaxy's Edge thing. They just had one ride, Star Tours, and Star Tours dumped you into an awesome store that had great Star Wars merch. In fact, in the early 90s, it was one of the only places to find Star Wars merchandise. And I remember, I used to go to, I was an annual pass holder. I grew up in, Orange County, California. In fact, pretty much my whole high school hung out there. And when I walked in and saw those two figures hanging in the Star Trader, boy, I was like that shock and surprise and happiness all at once. There was Ree Yees sitting on Disney markup. Actually, I remember he wasn't that much more expensive. He was $10 back when the figures were $4.99, $5.99-ish. So, you were paying $5 more, but I couldn't find this figure at retail. And Ree Yees is a favorite figure among many, many Star Wars fans, myself included. He's extremely toyetic. Why is that? Well, he's like a goat-faced alien with 3 eyes and antennae. I mean, come on, it's a visually cool look, and he definitely looks very Star Warsian, for lack of a better word. If you don't know who Ree Yees is, he's one of Jabba the Hutt's palace goons, thugs. You can see him in quite a few shots, both in the palace and later on the sail barge. Here he is hanging out with Yakface, or Salak Murray, or, his real name. And he's a member of the species Gran. There's also a senator figure from the prequels in this same species, but, clearly not Ree Yees. It's a different character. But, again, it's always cool to have 3-eyed, goat-faced aliens. And this was definitely a favorite figure I had as a kid. He was one of sort of the core Return of the Jedi alien figures. And, yeah, he just was really cool. And it was fun to, recreate Jabba's palace with all these aliens, both in the vintage line, the original one, and the modern line. Ree Yees has been popular enough that he's gotten multiple figures over the years, including the vintage one, and each time making improvements. The Power of the Force 2 one, it got the job done. It was definitely an upgrade from the old Kenner figure from the 80s, but, it wasn't the greatest figure of Ree Yees of all time. And if it wasn't for the difficulty in hunting him down and his, dueling blasters, well, if it wasn't for Disneyland, I probably wouldn't have been able to find this figure. Did you guys have a hard time finding this wave? I just remember of all of them, this was so hard to find. And speaking of Disneyland and the Star Trader, it's interesting that Ree Yees also got re-released as a Disneyland exclusive in their Star Tours boarding party set, which included a Star Tours officer, which was a repaint of the Imperial officer, a kit bash of an Ewok, a brand new sculpted teak figure, Ree Yees and Chewbacca, noting that Ree Yees came with a brand new accessory in this pack, a 3-lensed camera? 3-lensed camera? Is that like, did I say that right? I don't even know if that's a thing. And of course, Teak was the standout of this set since he was a character from the Ewok movies in the mid-80s, and the only time this character has ever been released because he got reused in the Star Tours Waiting to Board video. That's what all these figures are from the ride. You have to watch a video. All right, so aside from that re-release in that multi-pack, Ree Yees wouldn't get another figure until the 3 3/4 Black Series, back when 3 3/4 was also part of the Black Series. Probably not the best marketing plan. And this figure would then get a re-release, the same figure, the Black Series 1, the 3 3/4 Black Series, still hasn't been done in 6-inch, in the vintage line, and on a vintage card. This was packed in exclusively with the Jabba's Palace playset. If you call it a playset, it was, a couple of walls, but I guess that's what goes for a playset these days. And while the item did quite well, it eventually wound up cleared out at Walmart at bargain prices, shall we say, when they had to finally sell it off. But hey, if you want Ree Yees, and it also came with a Han Solo with carbonite that had a magnet behind it, mine's on my refrigerator. So yeah, Ree Yees lives. It's great to have this character. I don't know, he was a big part of my childhood just because, I don't know, I tended to have more Return of the Jedi figures than anything else. And between him and Squidhead, they were two of my favorites. Speaking of the name, you'll notice that Ree Yees is not like Hammerhead or Walrus Man. Well, I guess he's a bit more like Greedo, where he actually gets a real name. Very few Star Wars aliens in the Kenner line had their real name. I mean, even Jabba's skiff guards, like Weequay, Nikto, and Klaatu, I always thought that's what their names were when I was a kid. I thought that, the Klaatu, that was his name, Klaatu. Well, not so much. Those names are actually from an old movie called The Day the Earth Stood Still, which, if you've never seen this science fiction classic, it is absolutely worth tracking down. And you don't need to watch the remake with Keanu Reeves. Klaatu, Barada, Nikto were the oral commands used to command the robot, Gort. So yeah, Klaatu, Barada, Nikto wound up being the species name of those characters. Ree Yees got an actual name, and that's because on set, he was called Three Eyes, which after saying that several times, Three Eyes just got sort of turned into Ree Yees. Three Eyes, Ree Yees. That's where the name comes from. So it's why we have Squidhead and Pruneface in the same Return of the Jedi line, but we also got Ree Yees. It's because it was just a quick way of saying Three Eyes. So while you have your choice of, a few different figures, still great to have them. Death Star Trooper. So figure number 2 in this wave of 2. Again, noticing that blue bar at the bottom. This was collection 3, I believe is what they called this one. And man, yeah, so hard to find. But I found it there at Disneyland, both of them hanging side by side. Now, this is supposed to be this guy here. Well, maybe not this specific actor, but this character, which in the vintage line from Kenner was called the Death Squad Commander. The name seemed a little bit violent, I guess you could say. I mean, yeah, Death Squad. And it was changed for later releases. Not really until actually the later movies, because all of the figures were released for every single movie. And so he got a new upgraded name for the later carded release from Death Squad to Star Destroyer Commander. Even though I don't know if he's ever seen on a Star Destroyer, really only on the Death Star. So, I don't know. But he's the guy with the little weird bowl-shaped helmet. And, most of the characters that aren't Stormtroopers tend to wear all black. So, here you have yet another all-black Imperial, but at least this one you got to see his face. It's kind of what separates him from all the others, since most of the Imperials are masked, except for the officers and, well, these guys with the unfortunate sloping helmet. Now, the reference image that's on the vintage card, this one, does make the outfit look gray. You can definitely see that, and if you were Kenner looking at this, you would think it was gray as well and not black. It's due to the lighting. There were no gray Death Star troopers or Death Squad commanders in the movie. So the gray one that we had in the original Kenner line, which came from the reference photo looking gray due to the poor lighting, or at least just the lighting, is what led to a gray outfit. Which is nice because in the Power of the Force 2 one, we got our first actual screen-accurate Death Star Trooper, and his name being corrected, which was black, since that's what they wore. They had black with a gray silver belt. Two odd things about this figure. One is his pose. I mean, this guy's like running a marathon, and it always seems so odd that of all the figures, I think him and Lobot are the two characters with the most sort of action pose of Power of the Force 2. Where is he in such a hurry to go? I mean, doesn't he understand the rules of working on the Death Star? I mean, it's kind of like going to the community pool, right? There's no running on the Death Star. It's why Han was in so much trouble, because he was violating all of their running rules. Okay, maybe not. But the point is, yeah, I don't ever remember this guy running in the movie. The other odd thing about the figure is he has a removable helmet, which again, we never saw him or any of these characters take off their helmet in the movie. But, for play value, for added piece count, for perceived value, his helmet gets to be removable, and he's got like this weird ear-covering strap thing around his face, and then you could see his hair. I don't know. I just remember pulling the helmet off and being like, what the heck? That's what he looks like under the helmet? The same exact figure got reused for an accessory pack that was released at the time of Attack of the Clones. The sculpt was, kind of long in the tooth by then, but there wasn't another Death Star Trooper. We would get more Death Star Troopers eventually. In fact, we got 2 new ones down the line, and they definitely got better as the line went. The helmet, still removable. Every single iteration has a removable helmet for this figure. I guess it just increases the price value. And it was nice that we got what some fans might call an apology figure. When a figure isn't quite right, this really started with Hot Wheels. Like when Hot Wheels would make a mistake, they would send out a apology car to members of the Hot Wheels Club. So yeah, we at least got better versions. Still not this one though, which is weird because it never existed. We never actually had a gray suited Death Star Trooper with a black helmet. Now people have sort of kit bashed this and made one just by putting the helmet on an Imperial officer figure in the modern line, which is totally valid. But people have been asking still for a re-release of the figure just simply painted in the vintage color scheme. Even though it's not film accurate, all of those memories of playing are pretty strong. So while you might search and search and search throughout the film looking for this character in a gray bodysuit, you're not going to find it. But sometimes, childhood memories have a way of tricking us, and what can I say? The power of toys, nostalgia, and fun all makes us want exactly what we had as a kid. Maybe we'll get that gray Death Star Trooper.